Alright, so welcome to the Game Lounge. And I want to talk about this video. So let's talk about it. So basically, this is the Verge's video. This was a PC building video that a lot of people from, a lot of trolls, and I'm gonna say trolls, they were freaking trolls, or some people just may not understand or may not know. They were just kind of, following the blind, and they found an opportunity to like get some views or something like that. But this is Stefan Etienne. I think he did a PC building video for The Verge. Maybe he just said, hey, I want to do a video, contacted The Verge. They said, sure, man, it's your video. It ain't their video, it's your video. You're the guy, so anyways, I've been building PCs for years. Not saying I build PCs for a living. I'm saying that's my thing. That's my job. That's what I do. It's my career, actually. Not just to build PCs. It's information technology, cybersecurity. It's been my career, man. So that's just the bottom line to that. So I want to check out this video. Everybody else kind of just talked about it and ranted and blah, so I want to see basically from a teaching aspect, as well as just already knowing what's going on, from different points of view, different other things I probably just look at, can see, point out, I can give some insight or just have some discussion on. So let's take a look at this video. And this is, again, it's from The Verge. This is actually on Taylor Green's channel, but this is actually from The Verge. I think they took the link down a long time ago, but they got a lot of negativity towards it, and they just kind of was like, hey, it's not my fault. So let's take a look at this video. Stefan Etienne, and let's see what this is about, man. So basically, it's how we built a $2,000 custom gaming PC. All right, so I guess that's how to build a $2,000 custom gaming PC.
And it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5. So a few years ago, TC, or managing editor, built a gaming desktop, but it's kind of out of date, and it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5. So let's build a new one. You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000. PC like this is going to be able to play most games at ultra settings. So what do you need?
All right, let's slow down for a second. Let me look at this again. Let's start over. Let's start, because there was some things I want to just point out.
So a few years ago, TC, or managing editor, built a gaming desktop, but it's kind of out of date, and it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5.
Okay, so anything for Battlefield 5. When you're building a PC, you need to get the requirements. Not, hey, what kind of PC do I want? A lot of people, most people do. They say, hey, I want a gaming PC. Anytime you hear the word gaming PC, automatically you need to be thinking about a lot of memory, a lot of RAM, or same thing, a big hard drive, probably maybe some solid state, some hybrid, or just pure solid state. Solid state is still pretty expensive, but it's coming down in price as old hard drives are being recycled, reused, or whatever. A high-end graphics card. That term high-end meaning the latest graphics card, or on the higher end, which that changes like every month now, or 2 months or 3 months. A high-end motherboard. When you say gaming, you need to be thinking about those things. And what I was looking at when he was talking was this case. So it's got 4 slots. So I'm automatically assuming, like, if in my case, I have, I think, like, maybe 10, 8, excuse me, 8, quite a few, maybe double that. So I'm thinking about that. This is maybe an ITX motherboard. I'm guessing this is a mini ITX. Maybe an ITX or maybe a mini ATX. So when you're talking about any kind of gaming, any kind of building of the PC, you have to do your research. You have to get the right parts with the right, the form factors have to match. And when I say form factor, I mean the size and shape of case has to match, or the motherboard has to, or excuse me, the case has to support the form factor of the motherboard. So what is this? A ROG Strix Z370G gaming? Let's look that up. This is what you gotta do when you build a computer. ROG Strix Z370G gaming. All right, so it's taking me here. Amazon, of course, Asus. Okay, here we go. So this is what we need. When we build a computer, we need to make sure that we're looking at the right stuff here. So we need to know that before you build, you need to know what's going on. It's not like, hey, I want to put it together like a freaking Lego block and some damn Tonka trucks. You need to know what you're putting together and what are your capabilities. Some manufacturers have reputations, man, so you need to know that too. Like Gigabyte has a bad reputation for implementing bad beta BIOS. That's just me, as my research. I will never use another beta Gigabyte BIOS again. But looking at this, okay, so it's a micro ATX, so that's important to know. That picture doesn't match because that's a full ATX. That's damn. No, I see. Never mind. I never mind. This is a micro ATX. It's sort of a bad picture just off the back. This is a reflection at the bottom, so it makes it look like it's an ATX, but it's actually, there's the 4 slots. Let's take another look here. Okay, there we go. So that's what we need to see. That's what you want to see right here. So, so this thing, you need to know what you're getting. You need to read what you're getting and know what you're getting. If you don't know, you need to look it up. All right. So this thing supports a maximum of DDR4, 4000 megahertz. Maybe the manual, you need to read the manual, and you didn't, know if that's true. Because they put whatever they want on the website, but it could change by certification. They could have like overclock 6000. You know what I'm saying? So it has dual M2, SATA 6 gigabits per second, USB 3.1. Hell, you should have just put Type C on there, but okay, why not? It says dual M2. For maybe, is that it right there? I'd have to look at another part of the board again. No, that's the fan. Is this it right here? No. It says dual M2. Maybe I'm blind. Am I blind? No, I don't know if I'm blind. Where the heck are the M2 slots? They're very easy to point out. So here's the fan. There's a fan. This got to be it right here. But it's pointing up. Six SATA. Oh, okay. It's right here. It's right here. It's on this side. Let me see if I can. Bad picture, man. Really, really horrible photos. Okay, here we go. Okay. So those are the 2 M2 slots. You got this one. Let me go ahead and I'm guessing this is my no. I'm surprised my Discord's running, but I don't see the icon. That's it right there. Let me shut it down because I don't even see the icon. Like, shut it. There we go. So anyways, here's the M2. Okay, so here's the second M2 right here, socket 3. So this is what you want to look at right here. This supports, yeah, that's an overclocked 4000. I seen something that was like 6000. This thing has, so this is an Intel chipset, definitely. Supreme FX, very good shielding. So you can turn it up, basically dual headphone amps. This is a very loud audio. USB 3.1 generation 2. So this is type A. Needs 8 pins, power to CPU. These are things you need to look at right here. Again, M2 socket 3. Thermal sensor. So this is a socket 1151, or it has 1151 pins on the inside. So the pins are on the socket here. Very easy to install. These sockets typically have a triangle on the inside. It's either on this corner, or it's either on the left corner or the right corner of the CPU. But pay attention to how it's oriented. They have orientation keys, and that's how you insert the CPU. You can't get it wrong. You basically match up the orientation keys of the LAN grid. That's why it's LGA. The LAN grids, or the grid, it's on the CPU itself. Basically, I don't have one next to me, but the LAN grid array is on the CPU itself, and it just comes into contact with the pins on the socket. Very simple to install. So you can see right here, just above the metal, there's the orientation keys right there. So it's very simple to install. All right, so now that I know more about this board, this is a very good board. I mean, very good board for gaming. You probably can only insert about, it has 2 PCIe's. And this is what, by 16? Is that right? Yeah. PCIe 3. By 16 by 8 by 8, basically. The chipset with one graphics card supports the full bandwidth of 16. And with 2 by 8, but I've seen it now where some chipsets by Intel, I think Intel's changing the way their chipsets are operating. If you have 2 that are not compatible, so you can get a 2080 and then you can turn around and get a 1080 and run that second card as a PhysX card. It may not be compatible. What happens is that second card does not go by 8, it goes by 4, and this still maintains its by 16 full bandwidth. So I've seen these configurations, but if you run a scalable link interface or NVLink, both slots will be by 8. So okay. Damn, wait a minute. 3D printing? Why? What? Really? It's kind of weird. There's a 3D printing. Oh. That's cute. That's interesting. So they use the fucking 3D printer to put some of this together, guys. Look at that. That's never really been done. I mean, it's really never been seen by me. I haven't seen it. I didn't understand that this is Let me look at the overview of this board again. I guess I'm waiting on Asus. Like, oh, I guess I can accept the cookie. Okay. Go back to the overview, please. Or do I have to come out and go back in? I hate these type of websites. So, damn. That's interesting to know about this board. The parts that are used, the fonts, can be used for 3D printing. And these, they give you instructions. So if you have a 3D printer and this, you can build your own part. And it tells you how to basically rebuild your parts. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fucking cool, man. Because some of it's actually metal. Like you can actually create the metal. You can recreate it in a 3D printer instead of going to order these parts again. All right, back to you, Jack.
So let's build a new one. You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000. PC like this is going to be able to play most games at ultra settings, so...
Wait. It's got a 1080 overclock? I guess at that time, yeah, it was still pretty expensive.
This is going to be able to play most games at ultra settings, so what do you need to build a desktop? Well, of course, first you need a table. Preferably not metal. If it's going to be metal...
Not this kind of table, but let's listen.
Have an anti-static working surface layered on top of it, a thermal paste applicator, an Allen wrench, some tweezers to tighten up the wires, a Swiss Army knife which hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it.
So plus points for giving a life lesson. But I'm confused, man. What are you gonna do with that Allen wrench? I built so many computers. And I'm gonna tell you, I've never used an Allen wrench to build any damn thing. What are you doing with an Allen wrench? The only thing you can do with an Allen wrench is to unscrew and unseat and that takes a special star key that you use. It's a star wrench. It's an Allen wrench, but it's a star key, and you can take the top of a hard drive off. You know, but I'm gonna tell you that the Allen wrench is not. What are you gonna do with that? I've never used an Allen wrench to build a computer, ever. And those zip ties are not tweezers. Tweezers are the little small things you pinch, you know, and you can pick up things, and you probably can use tweezers to pick up screws that you drop. But those are zip ties, and those are the cheap small zip ties. They break really easily. I don't recommend zip ties, and if you do, just be careful. But what's better are the Velcro ties. What you end up doing with zip ties, you zip tie something. First of all, that's not gonna zip tie a frog. I don't know what you zip tie with that. But when you go to remove the zip tie, you end up snipping the zip tie. You could accidentally snip the cable. And I will never tell anybody to use a Swiss Army knife to. I don't care if a screwdriver is in it. I will never tell anybody to use a Swiss Army knife to take off or install a motherboard. Go get a freaking screwdriver, a Phillips. You need to go get a Phillips, and you need to go get a flathead kit, or a universal screwdriver. But in particular, you need a small PC kit that has a freaking Don't use a Swiss Army knife, man. You mess around, see all that metal around it. You mess around and you slice a part of that motherboard, that PCB, man. You can mess this thing up. So.
And last but not least, an anti-static bracelet, which is to protect you and the parts. These are the parts you're gonna need, but
hold up, dog. That ain't no damn anti-static bracelet. What is that? The fuck is that? No, man, that's not an anti-static bracelet. That's some bullshit you get at Walmart. No. Anti-static bracelets have to have some type of grounding. Metal, has a metal ground. The case itself is the ground. So you need something metal to ground yourself. See this, like, you know, that's why the case is on the inside of metal. If the case wasn't metal and you install that motherboard and you turn it on, prepare for some static electricity. So you should be removing all watches and jewelry and anything. You don't want any stuff, you know, Fitbit watches. You know, you don't want your Rolex getting on your motherboard. That's just that's a best practice recommended by CompTIA. You don't ever want to do that. Don't do that. But that's not an anti-static bracelet. Matter of fact, I've never heard of an anti-static bracelet. Let's Google some stuff. Let me show you. I'm gonna put bracelet because that's what he said, right? I'm just gonna go to Amazon. Anti-static bracelets, deals. Even when you put in the wrong thing, the right thing pops up. Because that's what people have been searching for. Look, they even got bounce fabric softener. So that's the shit that killed me about the internet. Like these right here. See how these have a metal? See that little bolt? Here's one. Here's an anti-static bracelet because it has, it says for women, men's, kids, whatever. But it has something metal on it. See that? Wait, let's take a closer look. That's something metal. That metal is what. Now, this particular bracelet, here's what he's talking about. He's talking about these kind of bracelets. This is not for grounding. Computer. This is for a balance of static electricity in a man or woman's body. You don't want this. This is the proper anti-static wrist strap. This is what you're supposed to have. So this little metal clip, you clip this to the case or something metal. You clip that directly to the case or something metal. This goes around your wrist strap. This is what I was talking about. It has a ground wire coming from the strap. And that ground wire attaches to this part of the wrist strap. And then you're grounded. So there's plenty. There's plenty out there. Not these. These are even these. These aren't the proper ones either. These are for therapy. Those therapeutic bracelets. But these are the actual anti-static bracelet, anti-static wrist straps that you're supposed to have. You clamp these to the case. There's all kinds too, and they're fairly cheap. I recommend you get one. You don't even have to get the wrist strap. You can get the gloves. You see, here's an anti-static glove. That's even better. That's 100 times better, right? You can get anti-static gloves and stuff. You go find some anti-static bags. You know, put your parts in while you're installing. Here are the tweezers right here. You see that? Here's your tweezers up close. These are ESD 15 tweezers. So in case you drop a screw inside of the case, you use these particular ESD protected tweezers to get this stuff out. And you can see it's a chip remover too. You can see it's built for a lot of things, right? So most of them have that alligator clip, but yeah, that's. I'm gonna keep this up. That's not an anti-static bracelet. You got that shit from the dollar store, man. That's not anti-static bracelet at all. That's no anti-static, nothing. You can conduct some shit with that. So sorry this video gotta be long, but you have to understand that you can't, I'm not gonna say bullshit your way through, but bullshit your way through, man. This is what happens. And I want everyone to understand why people were angry. Right, so let's take a look.
And the parts? These are the parts you're gonna need, but more importantly, before we get there, we need to understand what these parts are doing and how they interact with one another. To better understand the parts that make up a desktop, let's try to understand them individually. The processor is like the computer's brain, a base of calculations that control everything the computer does. The motherboard is like the foundation, serving as a main structure for all other parts to be added to. It also allows the other parts to communicate with one another, which also makes it kind of like a nervous system. Graphics cards are responsible for rendering and processing visuals into what you see on screen. Our PC's power supply is of course channeling electricity, in that it adjusts and provides the right amount of energy to keep it running. Last but not least, RAM, or random access memory, and your hard drive are good examples of short-term and long-term memory, respectively. If you want to better understand what kind...
Okay, you fucked me up right there. That's... Go back to these two. They're right here. Okay. So we use volatile, non-volatile. Non-volatile, basically, if you turn off the computer, your data, and you turn it back on, your data still is maintained. It's still there. It's not erased. But if it's volatile, when you shut the computer down, all your data is gone. So RAM, random access memory, is volatile because every time you shut off the computer, data is gone. There's no data stored on that thing. This is not memory. A hard drive is not memory. It's storage. Let's say it together. A hard drive is not memory. It's storage. RAM is memory, but guess what? It is storage. Data is stored on RAM. Data is stored on hard drive. So basically, this is connected to the bus of the motherboard, the North Bridge. So it's very fast. It's a dynamic. It's a static dynamic RAM. So SD-RAM or DRAM, it has to refresh every so often. This is connected by SATA 6, could be SATA or SATA 3, SATA 2, or SATA 1 with 6 gigabits per second. So the hard drive could possibly be inhibited by speed, no matter what, to include in this physical type of layout. They have all kinds now: solid state, hybrid solid state, combined solid state, and physical or just physical drives. The physical drives are inhibited by rotations per minute. So both are forms of storage, but the hard drive can be used for RAM only if the physical memory is at its limit, and then it comes and starts using the hard drive for virtual memory. So with like 32 gigs of physical RAM, your virtual memory is going to be really low and underused, and that's okay. That's good. But you can buy something like Intel's Optane memory, and you can combine that type of memory, because it is a memory, with a hard drive. So guess what? Your hard drive is physically working together with a very fast solid state type of memory. Very difficult to explain that, but it's very fast. But yeah, that's the deal with it. Hard drive isn't memory.
short-term and long-term memory, respectively. If you want to better understand what kind of computer to build, then first figure out what you want to use it for. A gamer might care more about a graphics card than, say, a video editor, who might want extra RAM to assist with editing large files. If you're building a budget build for video streaming, say under $1,000, you want to focus on parts, like a Core i5 or Core i3 processor, that require less energy. They'll be less power.
What's the VHS tape for? Recording? Who the hell uses a VHS tape? They got a VHS tape.
Powerful, but then you'll be able to scale back the cost of several other parts. And if you need help choosing the right parts for your build, there are sites like PCPartPicker.com that help show presets for which parts fit together, which sort of part conflicts you might have.
Real good site. Plus points for that, man. Plus points for that. Real good site. PC Part Picker. I highly recommend that site, man, if you're building.
And where to find deals on new parts. We have a lot of boxes and a lot of PC parts, so it's best you unbox them, isolate the parts that you really need, place items into the case, and make sure that they all fit, and then start working. And now we're really going to start building by adding the motherboard in. Some notes about installing motherboards: they're really delicate, you should be really careful with them, and screw in with confidence, but also don't screw in too hard, otherwise you could crack the board. I chose Asus's Z370 motherboard for two main reasons. One, it has...
So you won't crack the motherboard. What you're supposed to do is, you see the inside. This is why I'm not. These are called standoffs, where my cursor is. Might be a little hard to see. I'm kind of moving it around with this small cursor, but these are called standoffs. You insert this. A lot of motherboards, cases come with these standoffs, and if not, you can purchase them on eBay or Amazon, or you can go to your local Home Depot, try to find some standoffs. But basically, these standoffs ensure that the bottom of the motherboard does not touch the metal, and what'll happen is you won't crack the motherboard, you'll ground it, so it won't even turn on. And with all the metal touching, what you can also do is burn out the CPU just like in 1 second. As soon as you turn on, you hear a pat. That's it. You can damage the motherboard because it's touching the bottom.
It has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and also it has support for NVMe SSDs, meaning you can get really fast SSDs that are really easy to install. Pay close attention to the brace that goes at the back of the computer. You always have to...
Let's fix that. That's the input-output shield, so it keeps the motherboard grounded. That's why that little, you can see the metal film on that. It's kind of like it's like a ground. It acts as a ground for the motherboard. Though it's already grounded, the whole case is grounded. It keeps the ports and everything in place too. Like if you're plugging in a USB port, you see this area of the south bridge isn't gonna wiggle around or back and forth. You can risk breaking it. The I/O shield helps to keep that in place. So as he's touching it, this is why I said you need to have an actual anti-static wrist strap, because he's truly not grounded.
To make sure that you really hammer it in, because there's no screw, it really just has to go outside of the case and clasp onto the frame. And this is very important because otherwise...
You see how the bottom is touching the standoffs? That's how you know you don't crack the motherboard.
You can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes. We're just going to start installing all...
Wait, what did he say?
Can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes.
Yeah, I heard that much.
You can't align onto the frame. And this is very important because otherwise you can't align the motherboard. Really hammer it in because there's no screw. It really just has to go outside of the case and clasp onto the frame. And this is very important because otherwise...
No, it goes on the inside of the case. I had to listen to some of that again. You don't put the I/O shield from the outside. It goes on the inside and it pushes in.
Otherwise, you can't align the to go outside of the case and clasp onto the frame. And this is very important because otherwise you can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes. We're just going to start installing all 8 screws.
I had to listen to like 6 times this guy, man.
So next we're going to install the RAM on the motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM for two main reasons. One, it has LEDs and we do like lights in our gaming desktops. Secondly, it's pretty fast RAM. It's 2666 megahertz, I believe. So it's pretty fast, and this motherboard supports that.
Said he believes. So what you need to do, this is why I say you got to research everything, right? So let's go back. What did he say? What type of RAM it is again? I'll just Google some RAM.
On the motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM for two main reasons.
Let me duplicate. What do you say? Corsair Vengeance. Corsair Vengeance. I'm guessing right here. RGB Pro, right here, something like this. I could be wrong. Something like this. But he said 26 something. He said 26. Wait, what was that number? What was the megahertz he mentioned?
Reasons. One, it has LEDs and we do like lights in our gaming desktops. Secondly, it's pretty fast RAM. It's 2666 megahertz.
He got this one. So this is the one he's got. So you need to know that let's take a closer look here. So it has nothing on it. That's why. But still, Corsair made this. So let's take a deeper look here. Let's go back to this.
Hertz, I believe. So it's pretty fast, and this motherboard.
So when he said he believed, that's what I want to get at. You need to go to the manufacturer's website and make sure when you say you believe, you don't know. So you need to know that this is DDR4 memory. This is the standard speed. This is you can overclock this RAM up to 4600. Now, does his motherboard support that? No, it doesn't. So that's what you need to know about this kind of RAM. You probably can get up to 4000. You probably can go all the way, but this is the standard speed memory. It's DDR4. So that's important. That's what you need to know. The other thing that is not listed on this piece of RAM, so a lot of manufacturers list the cache latency. Basically the amount of time it takes for files to move in and out. You really just don't know. So you'll have to go into the motherboard's BIOS. But most of the time it's listed on the memory, or you go to the website, and or if you load Windows, you need a tool to pull down the actual latency information for the memory, so that you don't install the wrong memory and that thing won't even power up, man.
Board supports that speed, which is most important. Open the slots first, and just aligning the stick with the middle of the strip, not with the end, and just lining that up. So
it's the offset notch. That's what I was talking about. These are the offset notches. It is aligning with the ends of the clips of the DIMM slot. Otherwise, how are you gonna get it in? Or you might have the wrong kind of RAM. You might have laptop memory. So these offset notches mean that, or it ensures that you don't install DDR3 memory double data rate with double data rate 4 hardware or capable hardware. You could really damage the DIMM slot. You could damage the chipset, the motherboard. That's why they're there. So to include, if you have it backwards, and you try to put this thing in, it's gonna rock from one side, right? So that's a clear indication that the memory is backwards. So you do align everything. You have to align all this stuff up.
Set up with the logo.
Always use two hands too. That's a best practice because you could damage the DIMM slot if you don't. I used to do that when I didn't know what I was doing, but you use one hand and you're trying to do this, you're trying to shove it in with one hand, what you need to do. That's why you got to align it with the edge. Something he said you don't do. You align it with the edge and make sure that it goes, that it's properly seated. And then you
so once you hear that solid clasp and you don't see the gold connectors on the side anymore, that's when you know the RAM is in.
Not really. So that's why I just said that. You want to make sure that even though you hear it clamp, you'll hear the snap. You want to make sure that you actually push the sides in, and the contacts, not gold clamps, gold clips or whatever he said. You want to make sure the contacts and everything are touching on the inside. So
Step 3, we're going to install the hard drive, or in this case, the NVMe SSD. I chose this format of solid state drive so that I can input it into the motherboard without having to worry about extra wires or putting it in a separate part of the case and just getting really messy. This is from Kingston, and it's 480 gigabytes, so it's not a lot, but you can always upgrade this and swap it out, and it's only held down by one screw and the latch, so it's really simple and really straightforward. Speed for gaming is important when it comes to a hard drive. You want files to write quickly and you want games to load quickly, so that's why it's best if you use an SSD. Okay, so step 4, we're going to install the graphics card. I chose PNY's GTX 1080, which is overclocked, and so it's a pretty easy installation. You're just going to find the gold connectors, and you're going to line this bracket with the back end bracket of your PC case. Now, which lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system. I'm just going to pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it. I just think it.
Nah. So to get full bandwidth, that's why I mentioned, let's take a look at the motherboard here. This top slot right here. If you look closely, see if I can get a better picture. Hopefully, I'll pray on it. This is a marketing website. It's flashy, doesn't really tell me much unless I look at the manual. But anyways, I'll come to this picture. If you look at the pins, you can actually see it on the inside. So the top one, all the pins are on the inside of this slot. So if you stick that one in on the bottom slot, if you look closely, and matter of fact, I can see it with my naked eye here. Can I zoom in? Can I zoom in on it? Yeah, so you can even see it. I zoomed in. I zoomed all the way the hell in. I can see it with my naked eye here, and you can see, so this slot, all of the pins, you can see it clearly if you were to hold the motherboard up to your face. All the pins are inserted. The manual specifically states that this is a full bandwidth by 16 PCIe 3 slot. But if you look closely with this one, the pins stop halfway on the slot. That indicates it's a by 8. So that's why they say if you insert 2 cards, you'll get by 8 at the top slot, slot 1, or was this slot 3? And then the second slot, or you'll get by 8. That's why it specifically says that. So it doesn't depend on which one you use. Depends on the manufacturer's design. And the manufacturer recommends that you put, that's why it says right here. It just points to it, but right here, support by 16, that is the top slot. The manufacturer always recommends that you use the top slot if you're using one graphics card. If you're using 2 graphics cards and put that second one here, you can use up to by 8. By 8. And what's, well, you know, I ain't gonna get deep into what by 8 and by 16 is, but that's what that really means, man.
It looks nice.
It ain't because the shit look nice. It's because your graphics card is going to get downclocked and you just bought an overclocked GPU.
Click down. Take your remaining brackets and just put them in the spots that you haven't used.
Even though you use those brackets, you want to get a screw. Don't ever rely on these brackets either. This is just a quick tip. You want to get a screw and you want to screw down the actual graphics card. When you insert it, even though you have these brackets on, when you insert it, and it starts wobbling around in the case, you know, it can, let's just say, you can also damage these PCIe by 16 slots if you don't properly screw it down. So I recommend screwing it down, putting at least one screw in there. Takes up 2 slots. So that's the other thing you need to, if you're building a computer, when you put a by 16, you put a 1080 or a graphics card in there, it's going to take up this slot and this PCIe by 1. This looks like a by 4 slot right here. Might be a by 1. I'll have to look at the manual. It's going to take this slot up too, so you won't be able to insert anything in there. Right? So it's looking like at some point you're probably using, you might end up using the onboard audio to do everything. That's okay.
You don't have to screw these in. They get bolted down by the back-end bracket. And your GPU is installed. Power supply time.
That's why
I chose
that.
Corsair's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again. So all you have to do is take the brick and make sure that you align it with these
Power brick, PSU, power supply, but I never heard of the brick. Okay.
little insulating pads so the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
So power supply is already grounded. If the power supply was not grounded when you plug that thing in, it's basically converting AC to DC. You know, if it wasn't grounded, you'd be dead when you turn it on. So you'll be taking full damn alternating current from the wall. So the power supply will not short circuit. It has to touch the case. The box itself. This is why they say don't ever open a power supply. That's a no-no. It's listed on the power supply. There's tape all over it. Power supply goes bad, throw it away. But it won't short circuit and blow up on you.
So just take it in, slide it in nice and easy until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back and make sure it's right up against the frame. Now,
want to make sure that, so just to explain that, you want to make sure it's aligned with the screws on the back of the case. It's easy to put those. You can actually look at it, and some power supplies you might just think you sliding it in, and you go, oh wait, it's actually upside down or it's right side up. Just basically make sure it's aligned with the screws in the back.
You just take the required screws and you tighten and screw in. So
the community, I don't know why they fucking, I don't know, man. This is why I don't follow the community. I will never do that. I go off experience alone. He's screwing in the power supply. There's a fan that's underneath that blows air out. Excuse me, it takes and has to blow air down and out. And that's okay. It's fine. Power supplies get hot. It has to let that air come out. That's why you have the exhaust fans. All right. So you have to make sure that you have an exhaust fan that can take the air out of the case properly. The reason I like this case is because it has a whole separate area for the exhaust fan. So you're not pushing that air like the traditional cases. All of that air is in one spot. You isolate it. This case is able to isolate the airflow, and it can go out. So you can install probably another exhaust fan somewhere in the case, and you can make it, come out. So.
And make sure it's right up against the frame. Now you just take the required screws and you and screw in.
Everyone was saying it's upside down.
So next step, we're going to install the CPU cooler. In this case, it's going to go on the top end of the case, and we're just going to have the hose hang out for a little while until we install the processor, which is going to come a little later. Always be sure to try.
So basically, when everyone said it's upside down, you know, everyone took their foot out of their own ass because they don't know what they. That means that an entire league of people don't really know how to build a computer.
Try to place it in the system first before you install it, because you can see it takes up a lot of space.
A league of trolls.
But in this case, no pun intended, it fits in perfectly, and we're gonna start screwing it in. And so there's nothing special about this screwing in process. They're just really long screws because they go through the entire frame of the cooler.
Yeah.
And they take forever.
Yeah, it takes a minute.
So next up, cables. Every power supply is going to come with a big bag of Velcro cables. It's kind of daunting at first, so you always have to find the ones that are going to fit. In this case, you need to match those cables with the correct descriptions on the power supply. Next,
let's back here. So this is where you want to ensure. Here's the downside about this thing here. This let's go to Corsair's website. So here's what you need to know. Again, building a computer. You need to understand what you're actually plugging in. And the reason I say that, let's go with a 1200 watt power supply. Let's go here. You need to know, let's see if I can get the info from the power supply itself. This is Corsair, right? So we should be able to get, this is the kind of power supply he has. I just Googled it, by the way. All of these rails. Okay, here's the manual. Let's take a look at the manual. All of these rails on the back right here. So you have a 12-volt rail, positive, negative, 5-volt rail. You can change this power supply from a single to a multiple 12-volt rail, positive. So basically, that's your graphics card, your PCIe, your connector for the CPU. The 10, you need to know total wattage of everything you're putting in. This is why when I say gaming PC, whenever I build a gaming PC, you need to understand total wattage. And so what I want to show is this diagram right here. This is important to know. You need to understand that these rails, if I can just pull it all in together, that these rails right here, 3.3 volts, max load is 30 amps, but you need to look at the output of things that you have. All right, so your hard drives, your fans, right? You're talking about your 3 and your 5 volts, 5-volt rails. In particular, for the hard drives, your 5-volt rails. Your 12-volt rail, right? Your max output. Sometimes they list like $11.99, but that's the max output. So these, they now allow you to go full output, and this is what's good to know. And these are the things you need to know when you build a computer. All right. It's rated for 240 volts, so you can take this overseas. But in particular, if you have a graphics card, so he has a 1080 overclocked. I'm just gonna go with GTX 1080. Let's take a look at. Let's go to NVIDIA's website. I'm not even gonna look at other bootleg websites. It uses an 8-pin, and right here is what I'm talking about. So the minimum system requirement for the 1080, most people are wondering, oh man, my 1080 burned out. You need to understand that you need 500 watts from this 12-volt rail to cool the cooler itself is the part that's really working hard to cool off that graphics card. So that's half of this power supply. You see what I mean? So if you have 2 of these cards hooked up on this 12-volt rail, it ain't gonna start up. You need to go and get shit, man. You need to go look for like with the 1080s. This is why they burn out. Because people would go and buy a 650 watt power supply and hook up a 1080 and go, my computer's good to go. And that thing burn the hell out. You end up burning it, man. People will go get the minimal amount of stuff. And when they say gaming computer, so right here, this is the requirement. They're saying get a 500. But right here, in particular, maximum graphics card power. This is the thermal design power. This is what you want to look for. The thermal design power of the card. NVIDIA just says the maximum card power is 180, but the thermal design power is 180 watts. So all you do is you subtract 180 watts from this rail right here. This is your 8-pin, 6-pin graphics card. So you have maybe 920 watts left. All right. So you can, this is, again, that's why you go high. Plus your hard drives, your non-volatile memory RAM or non-volatile memory hard drives is probably going to use this right here, the 150 watt. This is why I say your peripherals, your hard drives, your optical drives, your all that stuff, your additional sound cards, all it's gonna run off of this rail right here. So your hard drive might only take like 30 watts. Boom. Right? Or what is it? 6 divided by let's see, let's do some math here. 150 divided by, I'm just gonna say 8. I was hoping for the calc and it just comes right up. That's why they need to fix Cortana. Oh, great. Look at that. Just like, what am I doing? Okay, calc. That's all I need. 150 divided by 8. Might just take 10 watts. Maybe 5 or 10 watts just to run the hard drives. Might be 5 just to run the solid state drives. So that's why you have 6 SATA ports, but you can add more, you know. So definitely want to go big on your stuff. You want to go big on your when it comes to the power supply. And in gaming, the moment you say gaming, music, photo, all that, you need a lot of power. All right. You might not think so. You might think, oh, I only need a 500 watt power supply. The recommended minimum is 500. So, and they just want you to say, hey, that's just enough. When you do the math for all of your peripherals, the reason this is recommended at the minimum is because that's going to be enough to start it up. When you're done building your computer, your CPU might take about 125 watts. You know, might be 90, might be 80, 75. But still, it's taking, the CPU is also running off of this 1000, this 12-volt rail. All right, so that's important to know.
The power supply. Next step is we're connecting the power supply to the motherboard with a 24-pin cable. We're just matching that cable from the motherboard, threading it through the back, and attaching the 24-pin header to the power supply so that we can have one of the connections complete. The next few additions will be for the GPU.
But you got to tell everybody what you're connecting. That's why he's connecting this one. So it's the ATX 24-pin cable. This is either a 20 or 24-pin cable. All right. So the 20-pin is the older ATX motherboards, but mostly today it's always full 24-pin. Um, the other part of that goes into the power supply, the back. So you can see, there was another picture I was looking at. Might not show here. Let's go back to the right here. So right here, it's listed right here. Specifically goes right into the 24-pin ATX. All right, you have the 6-pin for peripheral and SATA. Just make note of that. You have your 6 8-pins. Right. You have your 4 pins. All these are for your 4 and your 6-pin or your 8-pin CPU connections. But the rest of these are for graphics cards. If your graphics card needs an 8-pin, here's the 8. If it uses 6, which is some older cards, some AMD cards, you can put it here, and that's specific to the CPU. That's why it has 10, and then it looks weird, very weird looking cable, but it's split right here, and then here's the other. So that's the full 24. It's a really weird cable, but they must have, Corsair must have done something different with the power design of this power supply unit.
For any specific ports that the case has, for any lighting that the case has, the CPU cooler, anything else really, we're installing the CPU, the heart of the computer.
Remember I said before, it has a triangle on it. See right there by his thumb, that's the triangle. That indicates pin 1. So that's where you put the CPU in. And that shit does not look like. Sure that's the right one? I don't know if you're doing this for show and tell, but that looks very small. I'm looking at this socket. That's a big goddamn CPU, man. The 1155, 1151s are not small CPUs. They're pretty damn big. Okay. It just kind of caught my attention a little bit. Plus, looking at the... I don't know. And a zoomed up picture, that looks pretty small to me. That ain't the right one. It says Intel Confidential, and they blurred it out a little bit. Because this has got to be a coffee lake to fit. That means he said that he had a coffee lake, but he really didn't have a coffee lake. That's something that Intel sent them to test, but that's not a coffee lake CPU. It just says Intel Confidential on it, which that was one of their test CPUs. Now, if he has one, he has one. But that thing looks small. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like that socket looks pretty big. I have a Sandy Bridge CPU. That thing's pretty big too. And the Sandy Bridge socket looks just like this. It's pretty large. Not real large, but it's pretty large, rather large. And I'm definitely not gonna hold it like this. That looks very small. It looks like a Haswell. Haswell ones are small. Okay.
CPU, the heart of the computer or the brain, depending on how you look at it. So to do this, we're just going to remove the plastic covering that they...
The heart don't think like that. It's the brain. Central processing unit. All right.
Put on the motherboard. We're just going to take this little plastic part out. We'll just toss that out of here. And
now, community was babbling about RMAs or return to manufacturer, and they say, "Hey, you need that plastic part." Blah blah blah. If you were to just mail it in, I don't know. I wouldn't toss anything though, but
now we have an exposed CPU holder, or rather slot, on the motherboard.
It's a slot. It's a yeah.
And we're going to use the CPU applicator. This is a
Why do you need to use that? Let's see.
Special little part that not everyone may get, but this motherboard that we got from ASUS.
Wait a minute. What did he do to the inside of that?
This motherboard that we got.
Did he press that down with a plastic piece of something? So you basically taking the CPU and you putting it in this applicator, and then you take the applicator and put it on the slot. So I'm just talking before he even get there.
That not everyone may get, but this motherboard that we got from ASUS definitely does have. It's called a CPU installation tool. It makes it really useful if you want to install a Core i7 hexa-core CPU.
All right, so as I said earlier, there's a small triangle on the slot itself that indicates pin 1. All right, so that's best practice. You don't need an applicator. I have never used a freaking applicator to do that. I have like 3 CPUs off to my left. And then the CPU itself has orientation keys that's listed on the land grid array. It's on the back side. The thing he was poking down or whatever, that's whatever he was doing, pushing it in, or that's another thing that you don't want to ever do, because if you mess around and you damage or you smear or you put anything on those contacts on the land grid array, then you could damage the CPU just by taking something and you're jabbing at the back of it. So you don't want to do that, man.
Yeah, we've got one, and it's an 8th generation chip, and it's ready to go, and it supports overclocking. So what having this little...
So you see that Intel Confidential? That's the same as a video game NDA. You don't ever want to show that you got that by Intel. Like when they say it's confidential, they don't want shit to be seen. That's why they took the video down. It ain't because of fans and they were screaming, but you filmed something that was confidential by Intel, and you weren't supposed to post this video like that. You probably could have made a separate video. Like maybe you could have said, okay, let me show you how to install a CPU, and used another motherboard to show what you're doing and what you do. You don't, there's ways to do it, but the stuff they give you, and if it says confidential, you probably weren't supposed to film that. And that's probably why Verge had to take it down. So I don't believe that they took it down because of negative views. I think they took it down because, just like anything else in the world, once that G14 classified shit get out there, you know, that's blurred, cleverly blurred, because I know that it's confidential, you know, by Photoshop. That's Photoshop. I don't blame them, but you probably shouldn't have put that on the internet.
And it's ready to go, and it supports overclocking. So what having this little installer does for you is it's basically a brace that you can apply right to the CPU and light it up with the triangles that you'll see on the bottom left corners.
Hope it doesn't
break,
break,
will make
man.
it easier for us to apply it to the motherboard, and then apply thermal paste, and then apply a CPU cooler on top. And we're just going to carefully lead
No, you don't need to do all that.
And make sure that...
And turn your phone right side up. That shit blind you, man, while you... I did that when I made a mistake and did that. I was installing something, and your phone is sitting right side up, and it's blinding you in your fucking eyes. Turn your phone upside down when you're doing that, because there's no way that LED on that phone is so bright. There was no way I could install anything, and it's blinding my ass just like that. So please don't forget. That's like looking into the sun. please don't forget to turn your phones upside down, right side up. Another best practice is to get a flashlight, man, because those phones using a flashlight, not only does it drain your battery, it's just not really enough light to go around. So, you know,
lean it down into the system and make sure that everything lines up. And we're
gonna what? That shit didn't line up. So the slot he was talking about, let's look at this. I'm gonna slow this part down real quick. This is important to know that when you have to install a CPU, there's a load lever. The bracket or slot or what he was talking about is called the load plate. And you need to make sure that orientation keys on the CPU are lined up with the orientation keys in the socket. It's very simple with Intel. There's something called a zero insertion force for these CPUs. It takes zero force. It takes barely any force. It's like picking up a piece of paper and then there's the zero insertion force. That's how much effort it takes to install the CPU. Once you align those orientation keys up with the CPU, you put the load plate down, and then you use the load lever to secure it in place. All this applicator thing he's talking about, man, you can mess around, damage the LAN grids, or the LANs is what they're really called, the LANs. The little gray plastic spoon or whatever he was poking at the LANs to push it down. You could damage the LANs on the CPU. This is the part that scared me, because you see how the load lever should be up. It's going forward as he's closing it. But when you close the load lever in the direction he's pulling the plate, the CPU actually it sort of slides up like this. It does this. So he's about to, if you would have just closed it down right now, this is why he kind of backed off. Watch at the end. See how he couldn't push that down? Because you're gonna damage the CPU. It's not in place. And remember what I was telling you earlier, where the socket of the socket didn't match the CPU? This is what happens when the CPU and the socket does not match. That ain't the right CPU for it. So that's what I meant by that, man. Let's go back to the game here.
And we're gonna clasp down on it, and we'll be good to go. So we're about to apply thermal paste to the CPU. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of thermal paste already neatly applied and a surface already. So we're about to apply thermal paste to the CPU. Okay. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of thermal paste already neatly applied in a circle around it. But
this is an interesting topic right here. Thermal paste depends on the cooler. Depends on the size of the CPU. So you don't need to apply more thermal paste on the CPU. If you see that, right, put it on, go home. I stopped because you see how he's holding thermal paste as if he's putting more thermal paste on top of thermal paste that's already applied. If you're going to do that, you need to take isopropyl alcohol. If you don't like the paste, the way it's pasted, take some isopropyl alcohol. This is what I do. And then you need to sufficiently clean this. If you're going to hold thermal paste as if you're putting on new thermal paste, but you don't want to apply thermal paste on something that already has it and then flap that on top. And what you end up having is a mess on the CPU. So what I do is I will take isopropyl alcohol, thoroughly clean off this old thermal paste that's been sitting in the box for probably months at a time. That's probably hardened by now, and apply new thermal paste. And what you need to do is you need to use look at the CPU and you use about, I would say, less than a quarter. I would say about a dime, less than a dime of thermal paste. And when you apply that cooler, when you apply the heat sink to the CPU, it will evenly spread. And what happens is it keeps the thermal paste in the middle. Actually, I see people putting thermal paste on incorrectly all the time, and it's flooded over top of the CPU. And what happens is when you apply too much of it, it creates a vacuum in the middle. So on the edges, it just spreads out to the side. It looks like it's applied, but the center is not applied. The center is actually vacuumed out. It's just like a mushroom cloud. If a bomb hits and you see the mushroom come up the middle, right? The cloud, you'll see the shock wave go off to the edge, and then keep spreading. So if you're looking at it from a distance, you'll get hit by this shock wave. That same effect is being applied. The middle is being sucked away. There's nothing to cool a CPU off in the middle. The edges are gunked up, and it appears that there's thermal paste around the edges, and it can cause overheating if you use way too much thermal paste. So if I were him, I would have taken some isopropyl alcohol, because it bonds with thermal paste. Clean that thing off very thoroughly, and then apply new thermal paste. That's a best practice. Or you can use this and just be prepared to monitor the temps over time. I would say a good 6 to 8 months, maybe a year's worth. Just monitor the cooler and stuff. You know, if the cooler starts running hot, it's going to be because of this right here. And you just have to reapply some new thermal paste. But
it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially, PC building practice to have a little bit extra and layer it on top of the CPU.
No, it's not. That's why I just damn said. Wish I was right next to him. And that's why I said you don't put it. You see how he's putting it on? He's putting it on like he's decorating a freaking chocolate cake or something, like a wedding cake. That's why I said use a drop. And it's like a dime. Use about a dime. And when you apply the heat sink, it's gonna spread. It won't spread. You don't need it to spread all over the CPU. You just need enough of it to spread and come in contact with the heat sink, so that it doesn't overheat, and it's bonded to the heat sink, so that the heat can properly dissipate whenever you start playing your Battlefield 5, your GPU and all these things just start heating up. What's gonna happen is exactly what I just said. He's gonna put too much down, and it's just gonna splat all over the place, man. It's gonna be gunked up. You're gonna have to take a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol, clean all that off now.
The final portion is to add the CPU cooler to the top end of the processor. So you're going to see that there are 4 brackets, or rather,
hold up,
like screws.
Damn. Back to this. I can just hit back. God damn. No, this is where you want to stop. Go take a break, man.
And they're going to keep the cooler raised off the processor, but it's also going to be close enough to actually physically come in contact with it, like basically keep it cool. Take thumb screws like this and just screw them on. So now that our internals are done, we're going to put all the panels back on.
Another tip. Let's go back, boss. See if I can grab a. Okay, so you see, this is another thing. You gotta be aware. That CPU cooler, do not, if you can refrain, this is why you gotta really look around with CPU coolers. This is another reason why I dumped the liquid cooler thing altogether, and I'm in favor of different or better CPU coolers now, heat sinks. See how all these lines, these hot and cold lines, can't be crumpled up, and it can't be balled up like this in your computer. You could cause the one of the lines to get real hot, and it will not sufficiently cool the CPU. So I'll give it until, you know, you could give it, it'll happen over time, but these lines will start the hot and cold lines will start getting hot. Like they'll both get hot because there's not enough sufficient flow through the coolers. And the liquid they use is like a very cheap liquid, so you can't even replace this. Is Corsair. I stopped buying their shit with that. If you can replace the liquid, because the liquid evaporates actually over time, good. You know, if you can't replace the liquid, again, the lines will get real hot. You know, so I say that because I have one right here. The same shit. It's Corsair. Yeah, I don't use it anymore because you hear that? Let me just wait. Maybe there's barely any liquid in here. I never opened it. Nothing. You can't. You know, there's no way to open it, refill it. There's no drain. There's no. It's $150, man. A piece of shit. So no, I won't recommend that kind of liquid cooler.
Take thumb screws like this and just screw them on. So now that our internals are done, we're going to put all the panels back on, which is the top glass, side glass, front glass, and of course the back panel where all this fun stuff is happening. So we fully built the PC, everything's put together, and we got to the post screen. So what's next? Well, you need a USB flash drive with your Windows installation media on.
You can't just get to the post screen because you forgot to show everyone how to connect the motherboard to the case. You forgot to show everyone how to connect the power, the reset switch, the power switch. Yeah. So when you're building a PC, that's what you have to do. You have to connect, and the only way to know is you have to just go to your manual, and it's listed in there. As a matter of fact, it's right here at the bottom. These little headers. So you have to install the headers before you can post anything, right? You have to install these headers. And if you have an external, internal USB 3 or 2 cables, you can put them here. But you install these headers down, the power switch, reset switch. If you have a speaker, you can connect the speaker. The LED lights, positive and negative, you put them to the header according to the manufacturer's motherboard. So you can't, the motherboard's manufacturer stuff. So you can't just power this thing on and magically it works.
On it, and of course a license key. So I plugged that up, installed Windows in a couple of minutes.
What license key?
So I plugged the flash drive with your Windows installation media on it, and of course a license key. Oh. So I plugged that up, installed.
So you don't even you can use the license key now, but Microsoft basically, if you purchased it, if you already have it, it's good to put away. Move it away. You know, you can secure your license key somewhere else. But with Windows 10 1903, you don't need to enter that license key. Just log on to connect to the internet, log on to your Microsoft account. Your digital license key is now in the cloud. That license key is going to automatically get installed to your computer. it's gonna say, okay, you have a Windows Edition home, a home edition. It's gonna check when you log in, and it's gonna say, okay, I see your product key. Boom, it's now fully activated. I need you to verify this by PIN. There's an OAuth PIN. So you sign into your Microsoft account, your product key gets synchronized to your OS. So you don't ever have to look for that thing again. If you have an issue with it, you can call them and they will walk you through on the phone. They'll log in, they'll remote into your computer, and because they'll see everything in the background. You purchased, they'll see that you purchased a product key from them in the cloud. That product key also is installed in the BIOS UEFI. So once you reload it, unless you blatantly clear the CMOS memory and just like it's gone, then that's the only time you have to use the key again. If you reload the OS with that hard drive, you just log into Microsoft, your account, and it's on. It's online. It's automatically activated. The key is stored here. It's stored on the Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. That's the beauty behind UEFI. It's actually stored in the firmware.
Installed Windows in a couple of minutes, installed a bunch of drivers, and now we have a fully functioning gaming PC ready to run some games. Right now I've got Armor 3 running at maximum settings, native resolution, which is 1080p HD, and it's running pretty smoothly. Like, I'm averaging 70 and 80 FPS, and this is normally like a very intensive game to run, and it's still doing a pretty good job. So right now I'm playing League of Legends. It's one of my favorite games. I'm actually playing against a bot, and I'm distracted, so I'm not actually doing so well. But otherwise, like, this is pretty much what you would see me do on a gaming computer. Test stuff out, and hopefully have really high frame rates like I am right now. I'm averaging 120 FPS, and that's only because I've actually locked the game to that frame rate because...
So once you're done building the PC, load the drivers, and that's pretty much it. All that extra locking the frame rates. Got average frame rates. That is not supported in my video. I don't care about your average frame rates, your locking of the frame rates. I use the tool to do this. So once you're done, load the drivers, your chipset drivers. You load up your graphics card drivers. If your keyboard has a driver and your mouse, load everything. Load all your audio drivers. Need everything to work. Check for updates. Make sure that you're on the latest updates and patches. Make sure that you do all that for your gaming PC. Update your antivirus. You want to make sure that all that is up to date before you start gaming. Install your wireless, because otherwise this ain't gonna happen. League of Legends is not local. All right, so you need to install your. That's why I'm doing this. You need to install your wireless adapter, or if you have just a regular Ethernet, you're plugging directly into your cable modem. You need to install those drivers. Configure your network adapter if it's not DHCP, if it's automatic. Your wireless, your insert your SSD, your password, all that stuff that you come up with. And then you also have Microsoft updates. So don't forget about these too. Go to the Microsoft store, you hit downloads and updates in the far corner. You have all of these updates too, every last one of them. All right, so you're gonna get a lot of these. So you can't just be gaming and I'm done. You've got to make sure everything is up to date and good to go before you start gaming. Otherwise, your League of Legends session is gonna slow way down. All right, so
I can get around 300 FPS playing League on maximum settings, which is a little bit absurd, and you don't really need that, so I've locked it. Building a gaming desktop has been a great experience. I'm able to max out a lot of my favorite titles, and I'll be able to play a lot of upcoming titles like Battlefield 5 and Cyberpunk.
So, one thing he forgot, again, you're gonna build a PC, quite a few things you forgot. So you forgot to research the keyboard, mouse, and most importantly is the monitor. So make sure that you have a supported monitor if you're gonna go gaming. G-Sync monitors are rather expensive. For instance, let's see if I can bring it up here. Just pin it to the start menu, put it here. This is a G-Sync monitor. So if you're going to go NVIDIA, these are getting cheaper now, to be honest. To include nowadays, they have, and this was not, this wasn't going to be talked about at this time in September 2018, but in today, you can use a FreeSync monitor that is supported. All right, a supported FreeSync monitor. They call it G-Sync capable or G-Sync compatible. Right, so this is a full G-Sync monitor. It has the G-Sync logo on it. So this right here, basically, you just set it up. Can enable for full screen or window to full screen, which is preferred, especially for League of Legends, being that it operates in a full screen borderless mode. This will really help a game like League of Legends. But configure your monitor settings and stuff like that before you start gaming.
2077.
Consider the monitor that you buy.
Parts I have. When ray tracing GPUs come out, for example, I'll be able to upgrade without having to buy a completely new system. And if it meets the requirements, if your computer meets the requirements for ray tracing, fast forward to the future, ray tracing GPUs are out already. If your computer meets the requirements, Turing graphics card, right? If you got the money, shit, because look at what they want. Here you go. You know, this is what they want for it. Here are the prices, where you can buy it, right? It's coming down. Here's the Super. TI is still the top dog. They made the Super so that it's affordable, but it's gonna come down. I'll say after Christmas. I'll say January 2010. 2020. I'm 10 years behind. This is gonna come way down, and there's gonna be a lot of people using these cards. But if it's compatible, if you have the hardware to support it, do it. Otherwise, 1080 is still good. I have a problem down the line, I can always just swap out a part and have it serviced rather than losing my whole computer. And of course now we also have a computer to test and benchmark games here at The Verge.
Okay, so he was at The Verge. So yeah, it was a lengthy video. I got that. It's an hour and 33 minute, 3 minute, maybe hour 40 minute. I'm just gonna recap. I think I've said enough things to point out how to build a PC. I think I tried to educate as far as how much or what you probably should do. You notice all my tabs are still open. Online research is the best thing when you're building a PC. Like, I didn't know about this. This is what's pretty interesting. I could use a 3D printer and I can build my own. I don't have to use their part. I can modify this motherboard, put a design on this thing and print it. All right, I can print this stuff off. This is pretty awesome. I didn't know this. It tells you about the hole sizes. It tells you all about these. This is pretty cool that Asus allows you to do this. Well, that's completely different there. Again, research, online research is very important. The max is 64 gigs of memory. This is why you need to, research. You may have the money. You need to know that you can't put ECC RAM in there, check control RAM, or error correction memory. Basically, it's mostly for server type of memory. It's only dual channel. You know, there's motherboards out there. It's quad channel, so you might find a quad channel motherboard. So there's all kinds of all kinds of things to know about this. Just looking at this right here, it's upgradable. So the CPU he probably has is an 8th core. It's a Coffee Lake, but now it's upgradable 8th and 9th core sockets. So you can put a 9th core. You can go get a new one today. Upgrade that shit. Coffee Lake, 8th and 9th. Stuff to research. And so, I don't know what Turbo Boost Technology 2.0 is. Like, what is that? The only only website that would know is Intel. So, like, there's nothing. See? Okay, here we go. Let's research. Because I didn't know about Intel Turbo Boost Technology 2.0. Like, I didn't know it was a new generation. So this is what you want to do when you build a PC. You want to research. You want to look for things. You want to look up things. Yeah, it might not tell you everything, all right, but but this is stuff that you need to do when you build a PC. That's important about this video. So pretty much, it's a good motherboard. It's a good PC. It's pretty good. And it's a very powerful PC, the motherboard. Despite what a lot of people say about certain things, I don't agree with what they said, where it's backwards, power supply or something. I've been watching for a long time, so I just wanted to chime in with my experience, not to follow. Don't be a follower, man. Be a leader. And when you're a leader, you know what to do. You know how things work. You understand how things function and how to put them together. Not looking at someone's channel and then making a video. I looked at this other guy's video. I make a video saying what he's saying. That's a follower. All right. So thanks for watching. It was a very good video. They probably should have just, all they had to do was really just make some video edits. It would have been awesome if they did that, and just, hopefully they make more, but just make some video edits and take one. All right, let's do it again. Tear this computer all the way down and rebuild it. All right, or have someone that is a subject matter expert at The Verge that understands and can help him. And that's what they probably should have did, not just let him flap out there and then try to get mad at the community about it. But thanks for watching. Hope this video can bring a little more insight into PC building other than just ranting and raving. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.